What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Shadowlands video. How's everybody doing? Grab your coffee. Listen, we got our mic problems resolved, thank God. It was much simpler than it needed to be, and I'm an idiot, but that's okay. We can all move forward. We all knew that was a possibility, that I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. You know what I'm saying? We all knew that. So, what are we doing today? We are actually going to turn on our UI. That's the first thing we're going to do. Number two, we are doing a Stormstrike build in a Mythic Plus. We did a 16 hauls, and I know I've been doing bigger keys, but I got to get my fortified rating up as well. I had a couple low fortified dishes, but I just wanted to try this in like a lower key level at this point in the expansion. Like a 16 is not super high anymore. Oh my God, that sound. I'm so sorry, guys. I wanted to try it in a bit of a lower dungeon because I don't want to like try it in a 19 and have it be absolutely horrible. So we're going to talk about this. This is a Stormstrike build. Now you're going to wonder, why am I doing a Stormstrike build? I'll get into it in a second. Let's get a drink. So this reset, I got my 4-piece tier set. I think a lot of people did, right? A lot of people are now sitting on 4-piece. I mean, if Zuko has it, you must have it. You probably had it for months if I have it now. So why does this change our build? Well, the 4-piece says that your Feral Spirit's attacks have a 20% chance to trigger Stormbringer, which resets the cooldown of Stormstrike. Interesting. Now, we already have a chance to do that in our kit. That's Stormbringer right there. It has about a 7.5% chance to do that all on its own. But now your dogs have a 20% chance to do it. So the idea here is that this is going to be happening all the time if you run something like Witch Doctor Wolfbones, which is what we did. So here's the build that I did. I have my 4-piece, of course. I have Witch Doctor Wolfbones. I stayed Necrolord to get the haste from Primordial Wave, because the haste plus the dogs, it increases their attack speed as well, right? If you do Primordial Wave and then your lightning bolt hits like 5 people and you get 50% haste, that means your auto attacks and their auto attacks are happening much more quickly, which means your chance to trigger Stormbringer is like 100%. You'll see in the dungeon, it happens all the time. So that's how the build kind of works. On top of that, we're going to take Focus Lightning, Tumbling Waves, Chill to the Core. I did not take Unruly Winds, even though there's an impetus there to maybe do that. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Here's the talent setup that I ran. I ran Ellie Blast, Stormflurry, Hailstorm, Ellie Spirits, of course. Now, this is the stuff that's changed here, right? Like on Primal Lava Actuators builds, you're going Lashing Flames, Hot Hands, Fire Nova, or Lashing Flames, Hot Hands, Hailstorm. I should not have run Ellie Blast. Now that I've done this dungeon, you could just run Forceful Winds, and the more you can uncomplicate this build, the better. This build is like, it's like Stormstrike on crack. Like, it just goes so fast. You don't have time to press other buttons. I don't want another button. There's so many buttons to press. So getting rid of Ellie Blast is what you should do. I just needed to run it to like check for myself, right? To be like, okay, is this actually bad? And it turns out it's not really that good. So you could easily get away with running Forceful Winds. I think like in this dungeon, Ellie Blast did 6% of my damage, and in a plus 17 that I didn't run Ellie Blast. I ran Forceful Winds, and my Wind Fury ended up being... Oh, no, did I run? I ran something. Oh, I ran Lashing Flames in this one. Where was the other one that I ran? Theater? In Theater, I ran Forceful Winds. Look at my Wind Fury damage. Wind Fury damage is 7%, and there's no Ellie Blast. My Ellie Blast did 6% on its own, and then my Wind Fury damage is 2.7. So my Wind Fury damage added about 5%. Ellie Blast adds about 6%. Do you see that? So maybe Ellie Blast is like 2% better than Forceful Winds, but it's not worth it for like the brain power it consumes having to press Ellie Blast. Like, you generate so many stacks of Maelstrom weapons so fast that having Ellie Blast to consume them is fine, but you don't need it. We're talking about a 2% difference here in damage. And I would say you can make up that 2% difference in just playing better. So I would say you should take Forceful Winds to reduce the load on your brain, to reduce the brain power it takes to do this build, because it's actually like there's a lot of buttons to press. That's the build. Let's get into the VOD really quick. I'll talk about some other things really quick as we get in there, but those are the talents. That's the setup. I was running Plague Divisor. Now, I probably could have pivoted and used something else, right? probably Bonesmith is the better play here with the crit. I just wanted to go, you know, do a 1-for-1 comparison here. So, but I do think that this is probably better. Just getting more agility damage and then getting more crit. I don't have a lot of crit. This build would be so good with crit. I don't have a lot of crit. So I'm sort of experimenting with this build, and it's probably bad because of my stats. But if you have a character that has a lot of crit, I bet you this is like way better. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your head before you yell and scream at me about, oh, you're using the wrong soulbind. I know. I just don't have a choice. And I didn't want to do an unfair comparison. I want to do a 1-to-1 comparison right off the bat. So let's jump into the VOD, move over here. I need to take a drink. My voice is probably going to be dead by the end of this video because I'm still a little bit sick. A couple other notes before we get into this. It is very difficult with this build now. Not difficult, but it's really annoying with this build now to, like, maintain your flame shocks. This build has nothing to do with your, you know, hot hand or fire damage really at all. You want to press Stormstrike as much as possible. And so, because of that, you're not just, like, autopiloting on Lava Lash and Flame Shock. Like, with the fire builds, you don't even think about Flame Shock because you're doing it all the time. You're spreading it all the time because you're pressing Lava Lash all the time. With this build, Lava Lash becomes like a maintenance button that you have to press in order to keep your Flame Shocks going. And there are definitely times in this dungeon, I think, where I let it slide because I'm really busy pressing Stormstrike and Frost Shock and Crash Lightning and my dogs. So it's like, that's a new thing. It's a new thing for our brain. If you've been running PLA for the last 6 months now, then this is going to be very weird for you because you're used to the Flame Shocks just always being there because you're spreading them with your Hot Hand, Lava Lash buffs or whatever. It's kind of free, right? It's not free with this build. So that's the last thing I want to mention there is that it's just interesting how it's a maintenance thing now. You have to maintain those Flame Shocks. So here's the opening pull with Lust. We end up doing an okay amount of damage, but keep in mind, like, I'm bad at this build. My brain's in, like, Primal Lava Actuator mode still. It's really hard to do this correctly, so we still spread Flame Shocks. You're going to get your haste window going with Primordial Wave with your dogs. You want to have your dogs out with your haste window, and then you just go to town with Stormstrike. Stormstrike just look how many times it reset right there. Look at this. Are you kidding me? 1. Here we go. Well, here I'm going to press it right now. What am I going to put? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It reset 8 times. 9, 10. Like, it's always up. It's literally always up. I mean, I know right now I have about 110% haste because we have Lust plus Primordial Wave. But it's up all the time. It just is. It's insane. So this is a great example of what I was talking about. I flame shocked one guy and then I kicked a different guy. I flame shocked this first guy. I kicked the second guy. Then I'm like tab targeted off my flame shock. So I do another flame shock. I spread it with Lava Lash. And then it's good. My flame shocks are good. They're just going to do their regular damage. But I do have to press flame shock or Lava Lash every once in a while just to maintain the buff. And it's something that you have to think about now, even if because we're not used to having to think about it. With PLA, you're just doing it all the time. With this build, you're not. So I thought our damage was pretty bad, but you're going to see by the end of the dungeon, it was actually, like, okay. So it's just weird how all things kind of work out like that. But these packs are kind of irrelevant. Let me go to 9:45. Where's that? Yeah, we're pretty early in here. Let's go to 6:10. There's some strong AoE moments here. This is a really strong kind of AoE pack for us right here. Again, I'm working out the rotation. So I'm spreading Flame Shocks, and then I have Primordial Wave. I get my Lightning Bolt going. I think I only got like 40% haste there. I was just like, whatever. I want to get through this Primordial Wave buff and get to what I'm trying to do. The meat and potatoes is what I'm trying to do, which is essentially press Stormstrike. 17k, 18k. You're going to see it'll go up here. If I didn't have... There we go, 24k. If I didn't have Ellie Blast, my god, I'd be doing so much more damage, honestly. Then I start taking damage because we're just blasting right now. We're doing 26k. And I really try my best to survive. I think I end up dying here anyway. But you can see we're doing like way more damage than everybody else. Because again, this is the exact same kind of build that Primal Lab Actuators is, in the sense that there are no cooldowns. There really isn't any cooldowns. Your dogs are up all the time. Your Stormstrike's up all the time. You're just pressing it and doing your things that you're doing as an enhancement shaman. So all these other guys, once they get their cooldowns back, they might spike to like 30 or 40k, and we may never spike that high. But we're always going to be able to hover around this 26k mark if we're playing it correctly. So I do end up dying here, which ends up ruining all the rest of my damage. But you can see we're doing 25, 26k, which is pretty good. Let's go to 945. I'm going to show you one more AoE pack here. Back a little bit. This pack here is really solid. We kick this guy. I spread my Flame Shocks right here. Then Primordial Wave comes up. I do my dogs. Primordial Wave a 5th guy. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 50% haste I'm about to have. And then I just go to town. Okay? 23k, 24k. You can see it's really good. I have to back up a bit because I get bit a couple times by the dogs. The aggro table on these dogs is just so stupid, man. I don't know what it is. 26k AoE. So this is the same kind of AoE damage we were doing on our Primal Lab Actuators build or on our Witch Doctor Wolfbones build with Hot Hands. It's the same damage, actually. So this works. Like, the proof of concept is here. I'm probably playing it like absolute garbage. I think I am. I need to be playing it better. And I have LE Blast, which is like just annoying, right? Too many buttons to press. So this can get better. Trust me, this will get better. Apologies. Let me take another drink here. Okay, this is the first boss fight. Halkias, right? Let's see what happens here. He pulls double Stoneborn, the tank, which is great. I have this new trinket, which is really cool. You can see at the bottom of my screen there. I'm about to press it. I got it from the raid. It's the one where you like shuffle through these armaments. It's actually really good. So I have the haste armament right now up. You can see this icon right here, this little sword. It means I get like 950 haste, basically, during the start of this pull. So it's very strong. Here we go. Again, same concept as before. You want to spread your Flame Shocks around, get a juicy Primordial Wave, and then get the Lightning Bolt off to get a bunch of haste. I didn't do it correctly here because I don't know what I was doing. My brain's just like fried trying to figure this build out, honestly. So the DH is just carrying our damage, which is fantastic. Really, really good by him. This is where the build, I think, is going to really help a lot. Where you're getting Stormstrike resets from your dogs. Because, like, on a single target fight, you can't generate stacks of Maelstrom Weapon as quickly. In AoE fights, you press Crash Lightning once, and you're basically there, right? You've got 5 stacks, probably. Or a Frost Shock with a Hailstorm buff on it will get you 5 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon, like, immediately. So the 4-piece bonus really helps here, where we're getting those resets from our dogs on a single target. You get to keep pressing Stormstrike over and over again, and it will generate more stacks for you. So it's really good for that. We still end up doing respectable damage for the most part here. Again, I'm just playing like garbage, I think. So we need to sort of, you know, temper your expectations. But we're doing almost 12k, which is really good. If I have more crit, this Stormstrike build will be so much better. Imagine if like more of my Stormstrikes were critting here. Let me check how much I actually crit on Stormstrike in the game here. You guys keep watching for a sec. I only crit 12% of the time. Like, that tells you everything you need to know. 12% of the time I was critting. It's like, I might as well not even be critting, right? Basically. Let me get OBS open here. You can see, though, we're still doing 10.5k. Pretty solid. I have to do another neat little trick here. I try to tell you guys about this all the time. I can't run through here or I'll die. So we just back up along the line of this one right here. Just back up. Use your ranged abilities. Lightning Bolt, Frost Shock. Lightning Bolt number 2. Run back in. We might have lost 1 GCD there, maybe 2. But for the most part, we were fine on, you know, it keeps your damage flowing. So there you go. 10k overall in the boss fight. Could be better. Don't get me wrong. It could be better. Imagine if I had any sort of crit whatsoever. There is something interesting to be said for Night Fae, potentially, with this build, because Night Fae gives you 24% more crit, right? Imagine if you summon your wolves, do Fae Transfusion, you have 24% crit, and then you go into your Stormstrike rotation, and you'll have 4 dogs out, right? You're going to have 4 dogs out. There's something to be said. Maybe that's better. That would be really good, maybe pack to pack. I'm going to try and check that out, I think, in the next dungeon that I do. Here you want to get the Automa. If you guys have never done this dungeon before, go get the Automa. Just turn this down a little bit. Can't even hear myself think. Get this Automa so that we actually get it early. We haven't even killed the pack yet. And then, but the Automa buff lasts for so long. We kill this pack, and then we actually pull an additional pack by accident because of Sanguine, I think. Pretty funny. So we pull this extra pack in. We're like, oh crap, our Automa buff is gonna fall off. But it actually lasts forever, guys. Don't worry about it. We end up killing these things, and we have enough time to do the skip that we want to do. So we end up killing these guys, and we do our little skip. We have 10 seconds left on our woe buff. It's more than enough time. It's perfectly fine. So much time
10
here.
seconds of woe.
We got enough time. That's fine. You can see, even if you kind of mess up the woe thing, it's all good. It works. It works out fine. This is the most important boss fight in this dungeon. You're going to have Lust. You put your totem down. Get ready to go here. Excuse me again. Sorry. I Flame Shock. I spread it around. You still want to start every fight the same. You have to Flame Shock plus Lava Lash. Always. I get a really big haste buff from Primordial Wave here. I get a 4-target haste buff, so 40%. All the ads come out. Remember, the most important part of this fight is right here. Curse of Stone. You can decurse yourself and keep doing damage. Don't forget to do that.
Target you.
So I decurse myself right here, and we keep doing damage. We're doing almost 20k on like a single target fight. Basically, I mean, it's AoE right there, but like we weren't doing AoE damage. That's not what this build does very well. This is mostly us funneling damage into Echelon. So that's another cool thing about this fight in particular, is that you can really pump damage into the boss while other people are taking care of the ads. A lot of the DH's damage comes from the ads. Killing the ads is AoE.
AoE incoming.
Our damage is really all wrapped up in the boss, so that's a good contribution that we're making. We're pumping damage into Echelon as much as humanly possible. Let me see how much damage we actually did to him. Yeah, I did 75% of my damage was done to Echelon. Whereas the DH only did about 58%, 56% of his damage was done to Echelon. So we pumped Echelon way, way more.
Target you.
Oh, let me get this up. There we go. Okay. So you can see we're doing about 13k. Pretty good. Pretty good damage. We'll skip ahead here to the end. Let's see what we get at the very end of it. 13.7. The DH's damage starts to come down. Our damage just keeps going up, right? Because I'm learning how to play the build better. That's basically what's happening. And our single target damage is still really, really good with this build, because it is Witch Doctor Wolf Bones plus.
That was good. That was a lot better.
Plus Stormstrike. 13.4k there. So that's that. Let's move on to Aleez. We'll just move forward. We need to go to 1945. We'll see the Aleez boss fight really quick. Once again, we're doing 20k. Right off the bat, we're starting out with 20k. Sometimes you get to just funnel Stormstrikes. You're just like Stormstrike, 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 and it's triggering itself with Stormbringer. It's really, or Stormflurry. It's very cool. Obviously, you can waste Maelstrom weapon stacks that way if you're not careful, but sometimes it's fun to just let it rip and just go, you know? Nothing crazy about this fight to say, except that whenever the ads spawn, you want to try and tag them with a Primordial Wave. I press Primordial Wave right here. It's just off cooldown. And then the ad comes up, and I tag it with a Flame Shock right here. Now I have 2 buffs out, and I get a 20% haste instead of 10% haste. Right? You always want to try and do that if you can. Okay? Nothing crazy here. We do about 12k. That was good damage. 11.6k overall in the end.
That was good.
That was pretty good, right?
That was good damage there.
It felt good. This room, you always want to AoE this room down. I don't care who you are. AoE this room down, okay? It's not even it's not fortified, so they're weaker. You still want to AoE the room down, okay? Every time. Lord Chamberlain. Boss fight. Let's go. Once again, summon dogs on pull. Do Flame Shock into Lava Lash to spread it around. Get ready to do your Primordial Wave buff, right? Or just Primordial Wave into Lava Lash. That's the better way to do it. Get your big haste buff rolling. I have 40% haste right now. And we're pumping damage. We're doing 15k. Pumping damage right now, 16k. I'm just pressing Stormstrike over and over again, man. It just keeps coming up cool. 1, 2 resets, 3 resets. 4. 5. It just 5, 6. It just keeps going. It's crazy. Like, it just never stops, honestly. It's really, really cool. I got bumped into the second stone there.
Watch your step.
I get hit on the way out there. Pretty bad. So we end up, I lust right here, and we just go, go, go. This is good for the healer. That was just when our lust happened to come off cooldown, because we were actually early getting to this boss. The tank's like tanking like 3 of these buffs, I think. But anyway, you do your damage. Dogs are off cooldown. We're doing about 11.4k. The only thing I'll say about this build is that sometimes you can get a little bit unlucky with the dogs, right? I have two fire dogs up right now. I actually end up getting 3 fire dogs. So right here I have 3 fire dogs and 1 Stormstrike dog. So you know, you get a little unlucky sometimes. You get a little bit unlucky where I'm not doing a fire focused build. So doing this Stormflurry build, essentially it consolidates your damage a little bit more than the fire builds do. The fire builds put more emphasis on the fire damage, so you want a fire dog. But Stormstrike is still like a 4.5 second cooldown, even when you're running Hot Hand, right? So your damage is more diversified. If you get 3 Stormstrike dogs, you can still trigger Stormbringer with your dogs, and like you'll get that extra Stormstrike damage. If you're paying attention, you can press Stormstrike more than you press Lava Lash, because you're going to be cashing in on that damage you're getting from the dogs. With this build, you don't reduce the cooldown of Lava Lash at all. So if you get triple Fire Dog, you only get to press Lava Lash like once during that window. So there's something to be said there where your damage is not, it's not as diversified with this build. But that shouldn't necessarily change like whether or not you want to play this build. Like, it shouldn't change it that much. I think that you can just hope to get better RNG, and you will. You'll get better RNG. So I wouldn't worry about it. We'll get to the end of the fight here. We actually end up at the top of the meters by the end of this fight. 10.3k. That's about where we finish, I think. Yep, 10.3k. There, we're
Not bad.
13.2
Not bad overall. 13.2 overall.
I'll take it. Let's go back to gameplay. So 13.2k overall. Let's look 13.4k overall. Sorry, let's look at the breakdown. Lightning Bolt. Oh wait, am I looking at the right? Yeah. Lightning Bolt, Flame Shock, Stormstrike, and then there's the Wolves. Frost Shock went down a little bit because we spent more time pressing Stormstrike. But there you go. Like, look at where Lava Lash is. Boom, 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 all the way to number 12. Isn't that crazy? That's what happens when you're not running Hot Hands. This is just the difference between me running Hot Hands and me not running Hot Hands. My Stormstrike goes way up. My Lava Lash goes way down. And that's okay. That's fine. It's just a maintenance buff now. That's how you have to think about it. I'm just pressing Lava Lash to maintain my Flame Shocks. That's all I'm doing now. Okay? So, that's the build in a nutshell. You're going to get lots of Lightning Bolts because it's still your... oh, I'm just looking at the one fight. I was going to say, I'm sorry. Looking at the wrong fight. This makes more sense to me. Here's the overall damage. Lightning Bolt, Frost Shock, Stormstrike, and then Flame Shock. These used to look like, you know, Lava Lash plus Flame Shock, right? I think way up here. No, I was running the same build there. I was experimenting. So I can't even show you, but you guys know what the fire builds look like. It's Flame Shock plus Lava Lash and then like Fire Nova, or in my case, Frost Shock. So this will look a lot different. You're going to have Stormstrike up here a lot, which is really cool. Now, the crit chance is abysmal. 12% crit. 12% of the time I was critting. That's awful. So there might be something to be said for taking Night Fae and getting crit. I don't know. I'm going to try it, but this is the breakdown you can see. So that's it, guys. That's it for the build. Does it work? Yes, it does. Is my build good for this right now? No, it's not. It's bad. I would say if you want this build to work really well, you need to get a lot of crit for sure. And I think you should still go Necrolord. That'd be my suggestion. But crit is the way to go on this build so that those Stormstrikes are critting because they don't benefit from your mastery at all, right? On top of that, what are some notes for this build? Lava Lash is now just a maintenance button for Flame Shock. That's all it is. You're just spreading those Flame Shocks and you don't press Lava Lash otherwise. Do not take Elemental Blast. Take Forceful Winds. It's going to be better. The less buttons you have to press, the better. Other than that, it works. You just have to focus on pressing Stormstrike a lot more than you're used to because we're used to all playing kind of fire-based builds right now. So, but it works, guys. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Stormstrike build. I'm going to be experimenting more in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that stuff. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I really appreciate it. Go down there and press subscribe. And if you want to drop a like on this video, I appreciate that too. Until the next one, guys, we'll see you later.